Think about the last person you were actually really excited about. The conversation flowed. You felt it immediately. You thought, this one is different. This one might actually be it. And then at some point, maybe 3 months in, maybe 6, something shifted. The connection that felt so strong started showing cracks. The differences you brushed off early on became harder to ignore. You found yourself in the same place you've been before, wondering, what went wrong? If that story sounds familiar, I want you to hear this. Nothing went wrong with you, but something went wrong with the sequence. And if you don't understand what that is, it will keep happening again and again, no matter how many dates you go on, no matter how much work you do on yourself. That's what this video is about, so stay with me. I've been coaching midlife singles for over a decade now. I've also been single myself for 16 years, which means I haven't just studied this problem, I've lived it. And the pattern I see more than any other in my clients and in my own experience is what I call the chemistry trap. Here's how it works. You meet someone, the attraction is immediate, the conversation is easy. Being around them feels effortless in a way that feels significant, like it must mean something. And so you lean in, you invest, you start building something. And what you don't do, because the feeling is so strong, is slow down long enough to ask the questions that actually matter. Do our values align? Do we want the same things from life? Can we actually build something together that works, not just feel something together that's exciting? Chemistry is real. I'm not dismissing it, but chemistry is not the same thing as compatibility. And confusing the two is the single most common reason smart, self-aware people over 50 keep ending up in relationships that fall apart. Here's what's actually happening in your nervous system when you feel strong chemistry with someone. Your brain isn't responding to how good this person is for you. It's responding to how familiar they feel. And familiar doesn't mean healthy. Familiar means recognizable, which is a very different thing. If your past relationships had patterns that weren't working, and most of ours did, then the people who trigger the strongest chemistry in you are often the people who match those patterns most closely. The intensity you're feeling isn't a signal that this person is right for you. It's a signal that your nervous system has been here before. That's a hard thing to hear. I know that. But understanding it changes everything. Because here's what happens when chemistry leads and compatibility follows, or never shows up at all. You invest emotionally. You start imagining a future. You make compromises and adjustments because the connection feels worth it. And by the time the incompatibilities become impossible to ignore, you're not evaluating a potential partner anymore. You're trying to save a relationship you're already in. At 30, you could absorb that cost. At 50 or 60, 2 years in a relationship that wasn't right from the beginning is 2 years you can't get back. And you deserve better than that. So, what do you do instead? How do you lead with compatibility without turning every first date into an interview? The framework I use with every client I work with is called the Four Cornerstones. And I want to be clear what these are, because they're not personal development categories. They're not things you work on alone. They're the 4 dimensions of a connection that determine whether 2 people can actually build something lasting together. Let me walk you through each one. Cornerstone number 1, the intellectual cornerstone. This is about how you think together. Can you have a real conversation? The kind that goes somewhere interesting, that challenges you a little, that leaves you feeling more engaged than when it started? It doesn't mean you need identical opinions. It means there's genuine respect and curiosity for how the other person sees the world. When this is missing, the relationship becomes surface level. You coexist without ever really connecting at that level that makes a partnership feel alive. Cornerstone number 2, the spiritual cornerstone. This isn't just about whether you go to the same church, though for many people that matters deeply, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's about whether your core values and your sense of purpose are pointing in the same direction. How you approach integrity, what you believe about family, how you handle hard seasons. If this cornerstone is misaligned, you'll find yourself making completely different decisions about things that matter and wondering why you can never quite get on the same page. Cornerstone number 3, the emotional cornerstone. This is about how you connect on a feeling level, how you handle conflict, how you express care, whether you feel safe being honest with each other. It also includes love languages, not just knowing yours, but actively looking for someone whose natural way of giving and receiving love actually matches how you need to be loved. This is the cornerstone that most people think chemistry covers. It doesn't. Chemistry is attraction. Emotional compatibility is how two people actually function in a real relationship. Cornerstone number 4, the physical cornerstone. Yes, attraction matters. Physical connection is a real and important part of a lasting relationship. But notice where it sits in the sequence. Last. Not because it's least important, but because when you evaluate it in the context of everything else, you're making a grounded decision instead of a chemistry-driven one. Physical attraction that exists alongside intellectual, spiritual, and emotional alignment is the foundation of something real. Physical attraction without the other 3 is just chemistry, and we've already talked about where that leads. These 4 cornerstones aren't a rigid checklist. They're a way of paying attention, a framework for evaluating a relationship that puts the most important things first instead of last. So here's the one thing I want you to do after watching this video. Before your next date, before you're emotionally invested, before chemistry has a chance to cloud your judgment, get clear on what you actually need in each of these 4 areas. Not a vague wish list, a real framework that tells you specifically what a compatible partner looks like for you. I put together a free resource called the Must-Have and Deal Breaker Blueprint that walks you through exactly that process. It's built around the 4 cornerstones. It takes about 20 minutes, and it will fundamentally change how you evaluate every person you meet from here forward. You'll stop reacting to chemistry and start choosing with intention. The link to download it is in the description below. It's completely free. Go get it before your next date. I want to tell you what I've watched happen for people who made the shift. They stopped going on dates that felt exciting but led nowhere. They stopped investing in people who were wrong for them on the things that actually matter. They stopped wondering, 3 months in, why the connection that felt so strong had already started to fade. And some of them found something they'd stopped believing was possible. A relationship that felt like coming home. A partner who was chosen on purpose, not stumbled onto on the basis of a feeling that burned bright and fast. That's what's available to you on the other side of this. Not a compromise, not settling. A relationship built on something that lasts. You've already done the hard work of knowing who you are. This is about learning to choose from that knowledge instead of in spite of it. Here's a quick recap of what we've covered today. Chemistry is real, but it's not the same thing as compatibility, and your nervous system can't tell the difference. The 4 cornerstones, intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and physical, give you a framework for evaluating real compatibility before you're emotionally invested. And the one thing to do right now is download the Must-Have and Deal Breaker Blueprint and use it before your next date. The link is in the description below. And if this video helped you see some things differently, hit subscribe. I've got a lot more coming that builds on exactly what we've talked about today. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Of the 4 cornerstones, intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and physical, Which one have you historically underweighted when choosing a partner? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. I'll see you in the next video.